The internet is, after all, a brilliant invention. With the help of the internet, people look for jobs, build careers, make friends, and find their soulmates. But the internet also has a dark side. Today's story is about a 16-year-old girl who may have encountered an attacker online and then took a strange walk through her city before disappearing without a trace. Mekayla Bali was born on July 2, 1999, in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. She lived with her mother, Paula, her stepfather, and her younger brother and sister. Mekayla's biological father is said to be a man named Rick Bright, who was not involved in her life. In 2016, Mekayla lived in Yorkton, a small town with a population of about 16,000. According to Paula Bali, her daughter was an easygoing child. She did not like large groups and primarily interacted with two friends, preferring to stay home and spend evenings alone. Mekayla was learning to play the violin and was a fan of the Hunger Games series. Acquaintances describe Mekayla as a kind and responsive girl who dreamed of a career as a veterinarian. Like many teenagers of the 2010s, Mekayla actively connected with people online. On April 11, 2016, right after finishing school, 16-year-old Mekayla sent a message to her friend Oksana Yakovchuk, asking for a ride to the bank. According to Mekayla, she needed to withdraw 5,000 Canadian dollars, approximately 3,800 American dollars. Yakovchuk was busy. The next morning, on April 12th, Bali messaged Oksana again, once more requesting a ride to the bank. Again, Oksana declined, stating that the banks weren't even open yet. Mekayla's grandmother, Margaret Nibergall, drove her to school that morning. They arrived at 8:15, and Mekayla entered the school. Then, between 8:25 and 8:30, for some unknown reason, the girl left the school. A few minutes later, she went into a pawn shop where she tried to pawn 2 rings. The pawn shop employee later said that the rings were very cheap and advised the girl not to sell them. She agreed. A few minutes later, Mekayla was seen near the bank. At that time, she was talking to someone on the phone, but recordings of her phone calls later showed that no calls had been made during that time. The police believe the calls were made using an app. Once at the bank, she withdrew everything she had, $55. At 9:15, Mekayla entered a Tim Hortons cafe, where she bought coffee and sat down at a table. Occasionally, she talked to someone on the phone. She left the cafe around 9:30, still on the phone, and returned about 20 minutes later. She approached a stranger sitting at a table and asked for help booking a hotel room, which is prohibited for minors in Canada. The woman politely declined. Later, she reported that Mekayla appeared completely calm. Around 10 a.m., Mekayla sent a message to her friend saying, "I need help." About 20 minutes later, she sent another message that said, "Never mind, I figured it out." Shelby Hanatuk, one of Mekayla's friends who received the text, had forgotten her phone at home that day and only saw the messages after school. She thought her friend needed help with homework. Around 10:40, Mekayla left the cafe. About 11:55, she re-entered her school, where she told 2 classmates that she was going on vacation to Regina. They noticed that the girl was holding 2 phones in her hand. Mekayla was in school for about 5 minutes. Her friends expected to see her at lunch as usual, but Bali did not show up. Between 12:15 and 1 p.m., Mekayla had lunch at the Trail Stop restaurant. Then she went to the bus depot, which was in the same building. She asked an employee when the next bus to Regina would leave. They told her that the next bus would leave only at 5 p.m., so the girl decided not to buy a ticket. there are no records of her purchasing a ticket for any other bus or boarding a bus that day. She left the depot around 1:45 p.m., and since then, she has not appeared on surveillance cameras. When that day Margaret Nybergall, not having waited for her granddaughter, went to the school, she learned that Michaela had not attended classes that day. She tried to call her granddaughter but received no answer. Michaela was also absent from the music school she was supposed to attend after school. That evening, she was reported missing. The next day, her phone was either turned off or dead. Initially, the police believed that Michaela may have somehow made it to Regina. They also thought she could have traveled to Saskatchewan, about 330 kilometers northwest of Yorkton. The girl did not have a passport with her, and investigators did not think she would leave the country. 5 days after her disappearance, the police contacted Rick Bright, Michaela's biological father. He began searching for her on his own. By July, the search had spread to the provinces of Alberta and Manitoba. Around the same time, Michaela's friend Shelby noticed that a message she had sent to Michaela on Snapchat on the day of her disappearance had finally been opened. She held on to a glimmer of hope that the girl was reading her messages. It later turned out that by that time, all of Michaela's passwords had been given to the police, so it's possible that one of the investigators had opened the message. Shelby sent Michaela another message on their graduation day, but it remained unread. Also in July 2016, the police were looking for an unknown man who had been in the Trail Stop restaurant at the same time as Michaela. The description of the man and a sketch of his tattoo were circulated in hopes of identifying and questioning him. Eventually, the man contacted the police himself. It turned out he had simply held the door open for Michaela at the restaurant and knew nothing about her disappearance. The police also looked into several people with whom Michaela had been messaging online, but this yielded no results. Reports indicated that in October 2016, Michaela was seen in Vancouver. Other sightings of the girl occurred in Seattle and Portland. If the girl witnesses saw and Michaela are the same person, it is unclear how she crossed the border without a passport. Later, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, NCMEC, intervened in the case. In 2017, searches were conducted in a lake and forest near Michaela's school, but these searches did not reveal any new evidence. In August 2019, a man from Edmonton stated that he had spoken with Michaela outside a bar in March of the previous year. Messages from January 2020 suggested that the girl might be in Penticton, but again, this led nowhere. So, what happened to Mekayla Bali? There are several theories. The first theory regarding the girl's disappearance is that she simply ran away. Her classmates thought this when they learned about Michaela's disappearance. According to her friends, her relationships with her mother and grandmother were strained. Acquaintances reported that Michaela was not quite the person portrayed in the media. She had psychological issues due to her mother's strictness, frequently skipped school, and struggled with acne, which caused her significant insecurity. Some claim that her mother was a religious fanatic and did not allow her biological father to be involved in Michaela's life. Paula Bali does not believe that her daughter could have run away. She stated that nothing was missing from their home that Michaela would have taken if she had planned to start a new life, like a passport, accessible money, or documents. Michaela was also preparing for a solo violin concert that she likely would not have wanted to miss. The next theory is that Michaela fell victim to human trafficking. Someone may have lured her with promises of a job or under the pretense of a romantic meeting, then abducted her. Michaela might have arranged to meet a man somewhere, possibly in Regina, which she was trying to reach by bus. Upon learning that the bus wouldn't leave until the evening, Michaela might have accepted a ride from a stranger and made it to the city unnoticed. Over the years, several fundraising campaigns have been held to search for Michaela and to support a website created by her family. After Michaela's disappearance, her mother took an unpaid leave and spent about $45,000 on the search for her daughter. She traveled multiple times to all major cities in Saskatchewan, and the police investigated over 600 tips. But more than 5 years later, Mekayla Bali's fate remains unknown. And that concludes our coverage of this tragic story. If you found this video informative or thought-provoking, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more updates on cases like these. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Feel free to share this video with your friends and give it a thumbs up if you found it valuable. Thank you for watching.